Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
743,000 people ride Montreal's metro every single day. 743,000 daily. Last year, total ridership, Montreal, 165 million people. Serves 68 stations, shuts down at 2 a.m., never earlier. Does Montreal Metro ever shut down earlier during the day for maintenance? Not in your life. Can you imagine Montreal Metro shutting down at 8 p.m. when everybody is trying to get, to the local restaurant and the movie theater, et cetera, trying to get downtown or get home from downtown? Can you imagine Montreal? Can you imagine Toronto shutting down its system at 8 p.m.? It's unbelievable. And why is Montreal not shutting down early for maintenance? Well, I'll tell you why, folks. For the past 55 years, Montreal maintenance has been done 6 mornings a week, from 2 a.m. till 5 a.m. The system is shut down for planned maintenance. I guess that's the key word, planned. They tell me that the plan, in fact, sometimes goes back years. So every single night, they move in around 1 a.m., get set up, and shut her down at 2 a.m., all set up, ready to go on planned maintenance that's been planned probably for a year or two. That's in Montreal. The only time that the Montreal Metro has ever been shut down early or shut down at all was 2014, when the Yellow Line, which serves only 3 stations, was shut down once in a while on weekends. There was only 3 stations affected. By the way, the Montreal metro system serves 68 stations. It's been there for 55 years. But apparently here in Ottawa, we don't want our people working in the early hours of the morning. No. So we'll shut our set. Now, mind you, this system has been shut down. How many days? I don't know. In the last 2.5 years, it's been running. But no, for the next 2 weeks, we're going to shut down our system, the main line, at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Beautiful. I don't even know what time they open up in the morning, but I mean, it's just unbelievable. Now, just to make sure that things are really chaotic. So tomorrow at 8 o'clock, our O-line, the light rail, closes for the next 2 weeks at 8 p.m., okay? At 8 p.m., the Queensway closes totally for 3.5 solid days. Not only they say, oh, well, the buses are going to replace it. Well, let me give you some news on the buses. The bus system is not all that efficient anymore. It used to be really efficient, but not so much anymore. Let me see. Last Wednesday, for example, there were 324 bus cancellations. Last Friday, there were 200 bus cancellations. This past Monday, oh boy, they really got her going. Only 46 bus cancellations. But they tell us that there's going to be bus service to supplant the O train. Unbelievable. Now, so at the same time, we're going to have light rail shut down at 8 p.m. We're going to have the Queensway shut down at 8 p.m. Wellington Street is shut down forever. One of the alternate routes is Carling Avenue. It's under construction. Rochester will be closed. Metcalfe will be closed. Off-ramp will be closed. I mean, can I tell you something? You can't get there from here.
No. Don't forget Bronson's closed too, I think, until 2024.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's it's and as I've said before, will there be any special police or any sort of special? You got to be joking. Unbelievable. I mean, can you? As I say, can you imagine shutting down the metro in Montreal at 8 p.m. for 2 solid weeks? Can you imagine shutting down the GO train system in Toronto at 8 p.m. for 2 solid weeks? And by the way, there's going to be, I guess, I can't keep track of it, but I guess in another month or so, there's going to be more shutdowns at 8 p.m. I mean, do we? Can I ask you a very legitimate question? Do we have an operable transportation system in this city, or do we not? How in the hell can they close down the Queensway, light rail, Wellington Street, construction on Carling, close down Bronson? I mean, is is there anybody that knows what the hell's going on? You know, I'm beginning to understand why about half the councillors are heading for the hills. They're not going to run again. I'm going to tell you something. If I were a councillor and had to, been taking part in something like this, the schmozzle. There's a good word, schmozzle. You know what I'd do? I'd head for the Bonchère Caves, and I wouldn't come out for about a next year. It's unbelievable. Well, if you got any thoughts on any of that, folks, just absolutely no planning whatsoever. I really like the idea. In Montreal, they shut her down at 2 a.m. 6 nights a week, okay? And that's when they do the maintenance. The maintenance is planned so that well in advance, sometimes years in advance, because they say, listen, we can't be proactive. In other words, there's no sense going in after there's already a problem. Let's go in and work on it before the problem is there. It's all scheduled. They know exactly where to go, which stations to go, and so forth. So for 55 years, Montreal's metro system has been operating very efficiently. No breakdowns, no shutdowns, and as I say, until 2 a.m. from 2 to 5. I mean, 55 years. That's the kind of service that they've got in Montreal. What the hell is going on in Ottawa? Any thoughts on that, folks? I really don't know what else to say. As I say, small wonder that so many city councilors have decided that they're not going to stick around for this, baby, including the mayor.
But Lowell, how are they getting out of town? The train's not running. They can't, the Queensway's not running. How? Because I'd like to be able to, figure out the route too.
And I have something else to say too. I've been talking about the O train, shutting down at 8 p.m. just when everybody wants to get out. I mean, we want more people in the downtown area, going to the restaurants and the movie theaters. We want a lively in the market. We want people to get into the downtown, where they're trying to figure out how in the world can we energize the market, et cetera, et cetera. Well, maybe one way would to make sure that we've got a transportation system that takes people into the market in the evenings when most people want to go out to party. Aye.
Can you imagine being a tourist, showing up in Ottawa in the next 4 to 5 days? You brought the family, you parked downtown, you want to go see all the things.
Remember that song about, I think it was the Boston subway, where you only paid to get off? And remember that? And the guy, he didn't have any money, so he never got off. And where he is now, we have no idea. He just kept going around and around, couldn't get any. But it's yeah, you're right. But the other question is, and I raised this before, do we really, really, really need to shut the Queensway down entirely? There is no way that this would happen in a city like Montreal or in a city like Toronto. Imagine shutting down the 401 for 3.5, 4 days. I mean, it just would not happen. They find ways around it. But apparently we are so devoid of imagination, innovation, that we can't figure it out. As a matter of fact, we can't even figure out, geez, maybe we better not, stop the old train on the same day we close the Queensway. Maybe that'd be a good idea. Maybe we should open Wellington Street as well. Any thoughts on that? I have to tell you another little story happened to me yesterday. To me, this is a sort of a searchlight on healthcare. It's very revealing about healthcare in our province, the kind of desperate straits that it's in. I had to go to Carleton Place for some blood work. Okay, it's very simple. It's a nice place there, Dynacare, private, by the way. And so I go in. I'm the only, excuse me, the only one there. I showed up early in the morning. I'm the only one there. I get in right away. And so a young lady comes in, all wrapped as she's supposed to be, gowned and so forth. And she leans over and she said, "If you hear some elevator music in my pocket, don't panic. I am on hold trying to get through to my doctor. I've been on hold with my doctor for over half an hour, and I don't want to miss the call."
Oh,
So
that's red.
sure enough, she's got the music that they play, and your call is important to us.
Mhm.
Here's this rotten, terrible
Mhm.
music. So as luck would have it, she's got the elastic band around my arm, make a fist. She's just going to give me the jab when, sure enough, honest to God, the doctor's office says, "Hello." So oh, excuse me, Mr. Green, I have
Oh,
to
no.
take this call. And so thank God someone else come in immediately and took my blood. But it just seems so typical. Here is someone in the healthcare industry on hold for over half an hour just wanting to talk to her doctor.
Yeah.
That to me is a kind of a searchlight on healthcare in this province. Man, oh man, we've got to revolutionize it here.
Well,
John,
listen, it's
yeah.
not just Ontario though, Lowell. I mean, I was just
Oh, it's
down
right
east,
across the
and
country.
yeah, the same thing is happening in New Brunswick. So, I mean, the news broke that the Mofor and Carleton Place and other area hospitals were going to be closing their ERs for a couple of nights.
Yeah.
And people in New Brunswick are like, well, yeah, that's been happening here for ages. They've been
Yeah.
closing the ERs, and so like St. John would be open, Fredericton would be open, Moncton.
You see
That'd be it.
what's happened, and I've talked about this many times, is that we have placed all of our money, most of the money, energy, thought, concern on the environment, and we have totally abandoned healthcare. That's what's happened. Not just here. This has happened right around the Western world, and Europe is paying the price right now, as you know, concerning energy, et cetera, et cetera. But that's what's happened. We've concentrated on getting our emissions down. God knows why. And instead of concentrating on healthcare. Now, thank God in Ontario, at least, we're not so concerned about emissions anymore. But boy, we got to get on this healthcare business. I just thought it was so revealing of the healthcare system when the woman who is, I don't know if she's a nurse or not, was going to take my blood. She's on hold for her own doctor. I thought it was very revealing. John, any response so far? Yes.
Yeah, we do, and I want to get to that, but I do have a question.
Sure.
On Monday, we were talking about the different levels of government and their responsibilities. So obviously, healthcare is a provincial responsibility.
Yes.
However, we're seeing this problem right across the country. So what's the federal government's role as it pertains to our healthcare system?
Well, the main responsibility of the federal government is to finance. Traditionally, up until fairly recently, the federal government contributed 35% of healthcare costs.
Okay.
Under Trudeau, it's been reduced to 22%, and apparently, it doesn't seem to be any impetus to increase that. The premiers, as you know, jointly, including even Liberal premiers, have been after the federal government. Listen, you've got to increase the funding here. This is no good. We can't afford to pay our nurses. We can't afford to educate our doctors, et cetera, et cetera. There are a number of other solutions, but the number one solution. And by the way, I was listening to Rob Snow yesterday, and he had Ian Lee, for whom I have a lot of time. He's
right.
A professor of something at Carleton.
He's the train expert, yes.
And he's very knowledgeable, and he was just pounding away. We've got to have OHIP covered special clinics. You should be able to go to a special clinic to get knee and hip replacements, cataract surgery covered by OHIP. And he kept pounding away, and this is the answer. It's crazy that you have to go to a hospital for an MRI in Ontario, for example. For $700, I can go across the border, and I've done that, and get an MRI tomorrow over in Hull. It's private. We haven't come around to that, but listen, Doug Ford's got to. He's got to shoulder this, he's got to. I know that there'll be a lot from the left wing. Oh my God, private healthcare. Half the healthcare we have now is private. As I say, the blood work yesterday was private. You get an X-ray. It's a private clinic. You go to a dentist. It's a private clinic. A dentist, by the way, it's not even covered by OHIP. So, but we can't just keep trying to patch up. Doug Ford says now, well, we're going to make it much easier for foreign educated doctors and nurses to practice here. Maybe a good idea. But it's got to go far beyond that. We've got to change the system. We're about the last place other than North Korea and I think Cuba where the government runs all hospital care, virtually all. It's just the government. Listen, we're seeing it with the Queensway, with Elite Ray. Government at any level, they're incompetent. They're just not. Governments can't do anything. They could not organize a two-hole back house, honestly. Go ahead, John.
I think the solution to that, and by the way, thank you for answering my question. I think the solution to that is they need to stop calling it private healthcare, because I think that sends people into fits of rage.
It's an inflammatory word, but
we need to remarket it, repackage it, and roll it out with a whole new conversation and a whole new terminology that better explains it to the people. All right, enough about me. Let's get to some of the conversation going on social media: Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, and of course by text as well. And you can call the show 613-413-2217. Lowell, let's start with text. This person says, yes, Ottawa is the big little city that rolls up the sidewalks at 8 p.m. Now they are adding the LRT to the list. Also, seeing how the Freedom Convoy closed down Wellington, the city planners feel they can shut down the entire city core and the main highway that runs through it. Very lazy.
Let me just dwell on this. This situation with Wellington Street is very frustrating, very maddening, and very puzzling. Why is Wellington Street still shut down? This was the big complaint about the convoy. My God, I mean, it almost shook the world. The convoy has blocked Wellington Street. We can't have people blocking Wellington Street. So the convoy left. And guess what? Wellington Street is still closed. This is a major, major thoroughfare in this city. It's past some of the most historic buildings in the entire country. We should have access to it. But in addition to that, it is a major thoroughfare. It's a stunt, and I'd like to know on whose orders is it still shut down? Is this Trudeau? Trudeau shouldn't have control over city streets. Is this Jim Watson? Why? Why is Wellington Street still shut down? This is a major thoroughfare. Go ahead, John, please.
There's a great project for an independent investigative journalist to dive into. That's a great question. Nobody
other than me, nobody seems to be even curious about it. Like, I haven't seen any comments anywhere, even in the Rob Snow Show. Why is Wellington Street still closed? This is a major thoroughfare. We need Wellington Street for traffic and for nothing else.
All right. Well, you and I have a few social media followers. Let's put it out there.
I'll tell you who else we need.
Here we go. The Segway King. Here we go.
We need people who know how to do business properly, would never cheat you, very fair prices, honest delivery, and smiling truck drivers. They tell me that all of the drivers at Shields are smiling. Okay, when they deliver, they're smiling, even though they may be in pain lifting whatever the hell it is. They're smiling. Take that for whatever. Actually, I just made that up. Okay, folks. I don't know if they're small or not. But they're from the valley, so they'll be smiling. Okay. But this, I will tell you that the prices are very fair. They got a very good finance plan. And as I've always said, they've got a huge warehouse there in Pakenham. Cost of doing business in Pakenham a little bit lower. They try to pass those savings on to you. But 90%, they tell me that about 90% of all of the appliances you could possibly want are in stock, which means they could have them in your house in the next 2 or 3 days. Shields.ca. Good folks. John.
Well, you got me smiling. All right. Incoming phone call. We haven't had a chance to screen it yet. We'll go blind as we always do. Hi, can we get your name, please?
This is Jace.
Oh, my goodness. Jace, it's been a while. You are on live with Lowell Green. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Lowell.
Hello, Jace.
Wellington Street. So I do deliveries twice a week.
Yes.
I come over from the Quebec side. I have to go back over the Portage Bridge because the one at the EB Eddy plant is closed to southbound traffic. So we have to go over the Portage Bridge. We end up on Wellington, And then we're allowed to take Wellington up to Bank, and then we're redirected to go south on Bank. Now, I need to make it over to the market, but I can't turn left on Queen. I can't turn left on Laurier. I can't turn left on Slater. Where do I need to go? Where do I need to go, Lowell?
You can't get there from here.
Gloucester. You can't get there. This goes back to your whole shutting the city down. This is insanity.
Thank you, Jason.
Where do you need to go?
Like when we go over to the Quebec side, my daughter, former wife, live over there. We would generally go up Kent Street, turn left on Wellington, then across the Portage Bridge. Now you can't do that. I don't know how the hell you get to Quebec now. Why? But the question is, what rationale is being used to keep Wellington Street closed? I have news for the mayor. I have news for the prime minister. The truck convoy is long gone, okay? You've jailed all of the people involved with it. You've put them in shackles. You've shamed them. But Wellington Street is still closed.
I'd like to know what idiot is in charge of all this. And now, on Thursday afternoons, you can't park in the market because there's a farmer's market going on in the parking lot.
What?
No, you can't do it. There's a farmer's market, not the Byward market. We're talking a farmer's market on Thursday from noon on. You can't get a parking spot on York Street.
Jace?
I mean, it's funny, but it isn't. It's just like, what the hell?
You know who's in charge? You know who's in charge
Mickey
here?
Mouse.
The devil. The devil made them do it. Thanks for the call, Jace. Thank you, sir.
Good God.
Oh, good God. It's, I mean, like, I don't know. Do we not want business in this city? We obviously don't want cars. By the way, have they shut down any bike lanes? Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would happen if they shut down a bike lane? We're shutting down the bike lane at 8 p.m. Oh, you can't do that. Can you imagine? That'd be, they'd shut down the entire city, all the bikers. Oh, my God.
Are you trying to kill me, Lowell?
Oh,
that's
God.
Fantastic.
Leave the damn bike lanes alone, okay? We need the bike lane. We don't need the streets. We don't need the roads. We just need the bike lanes. Go ahead, John.
There's your answer, Jace. Get yourself a Schwinn, my man. All right, off to YouTube. Boo Boo says, compared to Ottawa, Montreal is a model we should follow. What the hell is wrong with Ottawa? Maybe hire people from Montreal Transit to fix Ottawa. Ottawa Transit was a joke, and it continues to be one.
By the way, it took the 68 stations, I forget how many kilometers, the Montreal system, essentially built in 2 years. I don't even think we had the tunnel dug here in 2 years. And now what's the western one? It's a delay at least a year.
At least, yeah.
You know what? All you counselors have decided to head for the hills, the Bon Cher Caves, okay? During the Second World War, when people wanted to run away, they didn't want to serve in the war, they went to hide in the Bon Cher Caves. There's got to be all sorts of hiding places there. Hell, there may still even be a few old cases of beer there. Go to the Bon Cher Caves and do not show up for at least a year. Go ahead, John.
Not a word of a lie. They dug the Rideau Canal system in less time.
That's right. Yeah.
They did.
With horsepower. Go ahead.
Yes.
Real horses.
I put 300 trucks on Wellington, and they never permanently closed it. Lowell will remember, says Dwayne. I put 300 trucks on Wellington, and they never permanently closed it.
Were cars still going? I'm not sure. Whatever it is, it was essentially closed. But okay, that was a protest. Why is it closed now? The truck convoy is gone. Go ahead.
Can you imagine if the public service was actually going to work downtown and Wellington Street was shut? Holy cripes. Let's go back to text, 613-413-2217. Lowell, I had to go into the doctor's office to try and make an appointment for a physical since I couldn't order one online, only to find the doctor is not doing them and has no idea when he will do them again. It's been over 4 years since I had one. I think I'm healthy, but I can't be 100% sure since I cannot get tests.
Are you still alive?
That's
if you're still alive, well, you're still alive. Go ahead.
Hey, and listen, we live in a marvelous world, Lowell. I'm at that age now where I get letters in the mail asking me to mail my poop so they can, check it on their end. So I don't need to see a doctor. I just put my poop in the mail.
Okay, go ahead. Let's move on from this one, please.
Joshua says, can you imagine this happening in New York? And he asks a question. He says, a question I have not heard asked. When building Ottawa LRT, did anyone bother to consult Montreal, New York, San Francisco, just as examples to see what made those systems so efficient?
Well, I was very impressed. I didn't realize this. I did the research today and found out that the reason that they never shut Montreal down is because the maintenance is planned in some cases for a year or two in advance and occurs between 2 and 5 a.m. Essentially, it's about 2 hours of, they set up, but they actually about 2 hours every night, 6 nights a week, as actual maintenance work, all pre-planned, as I say, sometimes a year or two. The idea that we might pre-plan anything in Ottawa, even a month, I think would come as a great shock. Go ahead.
All right, let's get to email. Rob in Carlton Place says, the problem with healthcare is the same across the country because every province is stuck with the same crappy healthcare model. I can't count how many studies I've read on healthcare systems in the OECD countries. It has been studied to death. They all say the same thing. Canada has one of the highest per capita spending on healthcare and consistently has some of the worst outcomes in just about every category. The answer is simple. Adopt a healthcare system that works. There are lots to choose from.
Yeah, Australia has a very effective system. I don't know why we can't pattern ourselves after that. Even Britain, the UK, has a two-tier system that works very, very well. Go ahead, John.
Richard says it's called the O train. O stands for, oh my God, it's broken again. All right. Let's get another Paul by email. This is Paul in Canada regarding OC Transpo. He says, if you think things are bad now with the O train and diesel bus systems, just wait until we have a third system, electric buses with all their own infrastructure. Can't wait until a minus 30 degrees Celsius overnight low in February. May as well hide under the covers and not get up that morning. Says
Actually,
Paul.
that's not a bad idea. Either hide under the covers or in the Bon Cher caves. Go ahead, John.
Boo Boo says,
John, have you ever been to the Bon Cher caves?
A long time ago, yes.
They're pretty spooky place. Seriously, during the Second World War, a lot of so-called draft dodgers they hid out there in the Bon Cher caves quite successfully, apparently.
That's my cue.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Over to you two. Sorry, I'm new around here. Boo Boo says, what's going on? We can mail in a poop envelope for analysis, but we have to stick with a poop Trudeau? Okay. Carrie says, shutting down the light rail and the Queensway at the same time, not the way to get confidence in our system. And says, I found this part of the Ontario speech interesting. It will not be, this is quote, it will not be limited by conventional thinking that stifles innovation and preserves the status quo.
Yeah, I hope that that means that they're actually going to, renovate, rejuvenate the healthcare system, change it. I hope so. I hope.
Just repackage it, because you can't use things like private healthcare. People will just not listen beyond that.
Well, I thought that Ian Lee had probably the best phrase. He said, OHIP sponsored clinics, special clinics. That's maybe that as long, I don't think people will object as long as it's available through OHIP. But I would think that we should even go beyond that and allow us for some special, I guess, cases to buy insurance. I mean, we buy dental insurance, for example. We buy eyeglass insurance. I don't understand why we can't buy some health insurance. John, we're right out of time here. Thank you, sir.
One last question before we go. The question that everybody's asking.
Sure.
How did your driver's test go?
Oh, I passed.
Yeah!
I figured out how to put the little hand by the 11 and the big hand at 2. 10 past 11. It's been the same. Well, this is my third test, and it's been the same now for 6 years. So maybe a little innovation there wouldn't be bad. I asked them, and they weren't very happy. I said, why can't I do this in digital?
Good for you.
I was thinking, I have a cuckoo clock here with Roman numerals on it. And so I could put but I figured if I put Roman numerals, I may fail. So I want my driver's license.
They wouldn't know what the hell you wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm sure.
Probably not. Probably not.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green Podcast, available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green Podcast. This is a production of BlastTheRadio.com.